Hi everyone, I am Dr. Jennifer Greer and welcome to our first ever virtual event. And today we are talking about laser hair removal. I'm really excited to have you here with me. I'm going to go over some of the common questions about laser hair removal, and be sure to watch till the end and then fill out the form, because that is what will enter you to win 50% off a laser hair removal package up to a value of $500. You'll also notice that there's a little field to fill out if someone sent you our way and referred you to us. Be sure to fill that out if they did, because that will enter them to win a $250 gift certificate good toward any of our products or services. So some pretty exciting giveaways happening, and I'm so glad you could join me. First, let's talk about who can have laser hair removal. This is a really common question I hear. In terms of hair colors, anybody who's got darker hair, i.e. not blonde, very light red, or gray hair, is a good candidate for laser hair removal. And the reason is the laser targets the pigment in the hair. So if you have very light or no pigment, there's no target for the laser, so that doesn't work. Now, if you still have like a couple little, those like real light or gray hairs, those are treatable with electrolysis, and that's something we do as well, but it's not gonna be a good result with laser hair removal. So that's hair color. In terms of skin pigmentation, we can treat anyone from very, very fair to darker skin tones, and that's because we have a couple different types of laser. Age is another common question I hear, and we do treat teenagers. I know there are a lot of teenagers who've got like the heavier sideburns or maybe just a little bit of fuzz on the upper lip, and it is totally doable to treat teenagers. The only caveat with that is if you're still kind of in the early stages of puberty, with hormonal changes, you may see some of that hair regrow and may need another series of laser hair removal treatments after puberty. But we have done kids in the early teens, and we have some topical numbing cream and a super chilled fan, which helps keep it really comfortable. So there's no age restriction other than they need to be old enough to tolerate the treatment, because it is a little hot. Now, what areas can you treat with laser hair removal? You can treat a lot. In fact, we treat sideburns, upper lips, chin, guys who've got the neck hair or the shoulder hair, the back. Some people have a little bit of extra hair on the tummy that they don't want. Of course, the bikini area, right up to a full Brazilian. You can treat arms, legs. Often when we do the legs, we'll even do the big toe, because there are a couple extra little hairs there. And then of course the underarm area. So, and guys often will have the neck treated, because that's where they get those ingrown hairs that are so irritating. We can basically treat virtually any area except the eyebrows. Those are just very stubborn, and they do better with electrolysis. So there is a treatment for them, it's just not laser hair removal. So you can see, if you're sick of going out and it's finally warm weather and you want to throw on shorts or a skirt and you realize you haven't shaved, laser hair removal can help. Or if you've been on a ton of Zoom meetings and you've noticed like a little shadow on the upper lip, laser hair removal can help. It's very, very versatile. The other question I hear a lot is how many treatments and how often do you have to get them? And that kind of depends. People who have coarser, thicker hair usually need more treatments. And the reason is laser hair removal doesn't necessarily remove the hair, but it damages the follicle. So each hair grows in really fine and really light. For example, you all have hair on your cheek, but it's so fine and so thin that you can't see it. And that's what laser hair removal achieves. But the coarser and thicker the hair is, the more treatments it can take. So it's anywhere from 6 to 12 treatments to see that result. And treatments are about 6 to 8 weeks apart. The reason they're spaced so far apart is because hair is in several different cycles of the growth phase. It actively grows for a while, and then it takes a break, and then it sheds, and only the actively growing hair is targeted by the laser. If it all was in the same growth phase, you would like be bald for a while and have no hair, and then it would start growing it, which would be kind of weird. So we have to do several treatments about a month or two apart to get all of the hair. And that's why we generally package them as a package of 6 treatments, and then you can get additional treatments as needed. So it is a little bit of a process, but you're gonna see incremental reduction in the hair. You will notice some improvement after the first treatment, and then that continues with each subsequent treatment. Another common question is, do you have to grow the hair out? And you don't. In fact, we don't want you to. We recommend shaving a day or two before, and if you haven't, then we'll do it for you, because we don't want all the extra hair for the laser energy to pick up. The hair under the skin is plenty for the laser to target. There are a couple of things you do need to avoid before laser hair removal treatment, however. Do not do any waxing or plucking. Those both pull the actual follicle out, so there's nothing for the laser to target. And they irritate the skin too, which can then be a little bit more irritated by the laser. So no waxing or plucking. On the same line, don't do any bleaching because that's going to remove the pigment that the laser targets. You also need to avoid any artificial tanners or sun exposure for about 4 weeks ahead. Now, if you still have your residual summer tan, we do have a laser with a wavelength that is safe for darker skin types. So we can still treat you in the summer. If you've got finer or lighter hair though, then we need to use the BBL, and that one needs to wait until any tan has faded. So no artificial tanner because the laser will pick that up and actually it'll flake off the skin. And then avoid sun exposure if you can. Also check and make sure if you're on any medications that cause sensitivity to sun. That would be something to let us know. Often they're like shorter term medications like antibiotics, so we just wait till they're done. If they're ones you've been on longer term, then we are usually just very cautious with our settings to see how your skin responds. Now, how long does laser hair removal last? The reduction in hair thickness and coarseness is permanent. And I did mention a little bit earlier, if you're in the early stages of puberty with those hormonal changes, people will regrow hair. So they may need another treatment. And that's just because their body's changed. Same thing with pregnancy. With those hormonal shifts, you may see increased hair growth. So we don't recommend treating people during pregnancy because you're just fighting a losing battle. Once pregnancy is done and the hormones go back to baseline, then laser hair removal is more effective. It's not that it's unsafe in pregnancy, it's just not very effective. If you have laser hair removal in your early 20s, again, as you see hormone shifts throughout life, like heading on toward menopause, you may notice new hair growth. So although laser hair removal is permanent, with hormonal changes and different shifts into different phases of life, you may need an additional treatment in a different area. And then cost is the final question. And you know what? Laser hair removal is surprisingly affordable. We have very competitive pricing here at Greer Plastic Surgery compared to all the big chains. You'll pay $500 for 6 treatments on the upper lip, and that package is generally enough to get a good result in most people. Additional treatments are just broken down to be, a little bit more than a sixth of that. And then lower legs would be $1,500 for lower legs. So it's really, to never have to shave again and not be caught like on a date in a skirt and realize you have stubble, so worthwhile, especially because it's a one-time thing. So if you have any questions about laser hair removal that I didn't answer, shoot me an email. My email is jgreer@greerplastics.com. And then be sure to fill out the informational form, and we will be drawing the winner early next week. So we will let you all know. Thanks so much for joining me. It was a pleasure being with you today.